to face in the stories you are about to see, The Secret Sharer and The Bride Comes to Yellow Sky, two strong men stand opposed. In The Secret Sharer, these two men are from distant corners of the world, and as you first view them upon the screen, the words of Kipling may well come to mind. But there is neither east nor west, border nor breed nor birth, when two strong men stand face to face, though they come from the ends of the earth.
Lay at anchor in the Gulf of Siam, at the starting point of a long journey home, very still, in an immense stillness. The shadows of her spars flung far to eastward by the setting sun. At that moment, I was alone on her deck. Pitched aboard a ship I don't know, with a crew I don't know. You're my first command, old girl, and you're good enough for me. The question is, am I good enough for you? Only the sea will answer that.
Robinson.
Oh, yes, I'm coming.
I think it'd be a good idea if you had a coat on tonight, Mr. Robinson. Seeing as the skipper's first meal aboard.
Aye, Mr. Brown.
How does he strike you?
It's easy to know what he'll be like.
Oh, indeed, yes. He's got Conway stamped all over him.
Yeah, you're right, and there's no difference between one trailing ship man and another. Went to sea the first time with brass buttons, he did. Not like you and I, Mr. Robinson.
He doesn't know what the stink of a forecastle's like. Never dug the weevils out of a sea biscuit.
Now, I don't begrudge any man his comforts. I've been at sea for 30 years for a mate's rating. He's not much more than 30 years old, with a master's ticket.
Please. Only coffee for me.
Only coffee, sir? There's some nice cold ham.
No, thank you, Smithers. I made my last meal ashore, a hearty one.
I hope you find your cabin comfortable, sir.
Very comfortable. By the way, do you know there's a ship anchored beyond the roadstead? I saw her mastheads above the nearest island.
Bless me soul, sir. And what would she be doing there? Unless she's too heavy laden to cross the bar and is waiting for the next spring tide and wants sheltered anchorage.
That's right. She's a Sephora with a cargo of coal for Bangkok. Door's 21 feet.
How do you know that?
I had it from the coxswain of the launch that brought you out, sir.
I see. Black, no sugar. Well, gentlemen, it's a hot night. And the crew must have had plenty of hard work getting cleared for sea. So we're setting our anchor watch. And all hands turn in as soon as they care to. I'll take the deck myself.
That's my sole use, sir.
Yes. Mr. Robinson, I'll route you out at 2, and you can call Mr. Brown at 4. Of course, at the sign of any wind, we'll have all hands up and get underway immediately.
Aye, aye, sir.
Stifling, isn't it?
Taking the anchor, watching himself, and him a captain. Think of that now.
Bless me, I could hardly believe me ears.
I wonder what sort of a seaman he is, Mr. Brown.
Aye, that's the question, Mr. Robinson.
I said there's no need to call anyone. I wasn't going to. Are you alone on deck? Yes. What's the time? The time? About 1:30. I suppose your captain's asleep. I'm sure he isn't. Look, my man. Could you call him out quietly? I'm the captain. No. My name's Leggett. You must be a good swimmer. I've been in the water since 9 o'clock. The question is whether I should let go of this ladder and go on swimming till I sink from exhaustion. Or come aboard here. Come aboard, by all means. What's all this? An ugly business, I'm afraid. There's a ship over there. Yes, I know. The Sephora. I'm the mate of her. I should say I was. Why no longer? Because I killed a man. Just now? No, weeks ago on the voyage here, 39 South. My father's a parson in Norfolk. Can you see me before a judge and jury charged with murdering a seaman? A seaman? A snarling, mangy cur who wouldn't do his own duty and wouldn't let anyone else do theirs, simmering every minute with a silly sort of wickedness. I'd had trouble with him from the day we sailed. What's the use of talking? You know his sort. Yes, I know. And the weather. You can't imagine what it was like. The sea gone mad. The end of the world will be something like that. The man may have the heart to see it coming and be done with it. But not day after day for 10 days without a night's sleep or a warm meal or a dry stitch on him. Do you think I could have got the men to do anything if I hadn't been pretty fierce with them? No, I don't. We're trying to set a reef foresail. The only rag we'd left to keep the ship afloat. She was so heavy laden she'd have dived under bare bolts in that weather. Then, with the ship running for her life, any moment to last, this cursed dock rat interfered with us at the sheets, crazy with fear and shouting obscenities because he was afraid the sail would blow out. It was a matter of seconds for us, one way or another. So I flattened him on deck. else you could have done, Leggett. I don't know what else I could have done in your shoes. Did he get washed overboard and drowned?
No. By the time the sail set, he got up and came at me. I took him by the throat with both hands. Then a gigantic sea made for the ship. Crew saw it and took to the rigging. But I kept on shaking him in blind fury until it seemed as though the sky had fallen on my head. They say that for 10 minutes the ship was awash in the smother of foam. It was a miracle that they found us jammed together behind the forebits. And it was another miracle that they didn't chuck me overboard when they got the carcass of their precious shipmate out of my fingers. Seems that I was still holding him by the throat when they picked us up. It was black in the face, and that was too much for them. They ran after the skipper, shouting murder like a pack of lunatics. I came to on my bunk with the captain looking down at me. He's an old psalm-singing Welshman, a religious maniac almost. Mr. Leggett, he said, you have committed a brutal murder. You can no longer act as mate on my ship. I'm keeping you under lock and key in this cabin until I can hand you over to the British consul at Bangkok. My father's a parson in Norfolk. Can you imagine the family getting word of this?
Better slip down to my quarters. Now, my second mate's due on deck in a few minutes. I'm going to roust him out.
Bells. Oh, all right, sir.
Not much sign of any wind yet.
No, sir, not much.
That's all you have to look out for. Oh, and haul in that rope ladder. Should have been done before the hands went below.
Aye, aye, sir. Good night.
I heard someone moving and came here.
No one will come in before daylight without knocking and asking permission. Yep. You're done in. Come and sit down.
That was a pretty story to hear from a Queen's Medal cadet, wasn't it?
Oh, then you were a Conway boy.
Yes. Perhaps you too. You were some years before my time.
But tell me, how did you come to be clinging to our side ladder?
When we sighted land a week ago, I sent for the skipper. To see his face, you'd have thought I was a murdering brute who went around by night strangling people. Do I look it? If I do, he wouldn't have dared come into the cabin. I asked him to leave the door unlocked. I wanted nothing more. I had a prize for swimming in my last year on the Conway.
I don't believe that.
He wouldn't do it. He always seemed sick when he came to see me. As if he couldn't look me in the face because he knew I'd saved the ship by setting that foresail. The thing must take its course, he said. I represent the law here. He'll wonder why I didn't chuck him aside and make a bolt for it there and then. There'd have been a rush to stop the noise. I wouldn't have broken out to be flung back. Somebody else might have been killed. I'd had enough of that.
It's my second mate.
I'm a bit nervy, no doubt.
Maybe a bit nervy myself. This is my first ship.
I know how you feel. You won't be sure of yourself until you've taken her out of some tight corner. Is your wife?
She will be as soon as I'm anchored in the Thames.
Yes. That's the way with us, isn't it? You get a ship, and you get your girl.
Yeah, lie down. I'll get you a drink. Here, take it. How did you get away tonight?
Steward who brought my supper forgot to lock the door. I kicked off my shoes and was in the water before I'd made up my mind fairly. Later I heard them shouting. He's gone. He's committed suicide. Now he's swimming with our boat. That was useless. Had no chance to find me in the darkness. I swam to an island, took off my clothes and sank them with the stern. I didn't mean to commit suicide. Just meant to go on swimming until I sank from exhaustion. That isn't the same thing, is it?
No.
Then from this side of the islet, I could see your riding light, miles away.
Do you think they'll come after you?
Tomorrow, quite likely.
If there's a wind tonight, it'll be all right. Once underway, he'll be found in the sail locker, a stowaway about whom no one knows anything, with any tale he cares to tell. Then he can jump ship at Cape Town, and that'll be the end of him. Yes, it'll be all right, if I get a wind tonight. Don't get a wind tonight.
I'm over here, Stuart.
I saw you on the couch, sir.
Is there no sign of wind?
Not as much as a baby's breath, sir. Only to close your porthole, sir. They're washing down the decks.
It's already closed. Well?
May I take your tray away, sir?
Very well.
no way to talk about your commanding officer.
I'm just telling you what I heard and seen, Mr. Brahm. Every time I come near him, he hops to his feet and shouts, as if he thought I was going to cut his throat.
Bless my soul. Now, why would he do that?
Any sign that he'd been drinking?
No. I had a good sniff as I was serving the coffee, but there weren't no aroma of liquor about him, Mr. Robinson.
Well, bless my soul, then. What could make him act that way now? A touch of sun, maybe. But he didn't show any signs of it yesterday.
But if you asks me, I'll say he's a bit balmy.
All right, Smithers.
Square those yards for lifts and braces before the hands go to breakfast.
Aye, aye, sir.
Mr. Robinson, sir.
Lifts and braces. Square away.
The plemishing in those falls is a sloppy job of work. I'll have you redo them for the instruction of the crew as soon as they've been fed.
Aye, aye, sir. Aye, sir. Get your backs into it.
Square and yard for not a smig of the wind. Nervous as a wildcat, that's what he is, Mr. Robertson.
Yeah, he must be, to start delivering a man about such eyewash of those Flemishings, Mr. Brahm.
Soon as you're on deck, sir, I'll tidy up your cabin right
No.
away.
I'll let you know when I'm ready.
Go into the bathroom. I'm having the steward in here to clean up. Steward! I'm going to shave now. I want this place cleaned up while I'm in the bathroom. And be quick about it.
Aye, aye, sir.
That other door leads into the saloon, but it's never used except by the steward when he comes in here to clean up. And we'll sing in joyful chorus in the watches of the night. And we'll sight the shores of England when the grey dawn brings the light.
Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea. Rolling home to dear old England, rolling home, dear land to thee.
Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea. Rolling home to dear old England. Rolling home, dear land, to thee.
Rolling on, rolling on, rolling on.
All right, steward, I'll be through here in a minute. Have you finished with the cabin?
Yes, sir.
Not a wisp of wind.
ship's boat coming our way.
All right, I'll be up. And get a ladder overside.
Whatever happens, I must tell you that when I came to your ladder, all I wanted was to be seen, to talk to somebody for a minute. I was lonely, I suppose. I couldn't see the stars. It was like swimming in a 1,000 feet deep cistern with no way to get out. Don't know what I would have said. Fine night or something like that. Then I'd have gone on again. But you spoke so quietly, as though you'd been expecting me.
Archbold, Captain, master of Sephora. On a card with coal for Bangkok.
I'm delighted to meet you, sir. I trust you had a good voyage here.
Oh, terrible, terrible, Captain. I never seen the like of such weather. And my wife on board, too.
I'm sorry to hear that. Mr. Brown, ask the Sephora's boat crew to come aboard.
Aye.
Sir Robinson, see that they have beer.
Aye, sir. Care to come aboard and wet your whistles, lad?
Aye, aye, baby, you right up.
I'll ring for the steward. You take beer or whiskey or gin?
I'm not one that's given to the drink.
I'm sorry to tell you, I'm hard of hearing.
Hard of hearing? And you such a young man, too. Pure water sufficient to my need.
Oh.
Tis but small wonder I'm parched with thirst, Captain. Since daylight, I've been searching the islands around my ship.
Searching the islands? What for?
Look you, Captain. I'm a well-known shipmaster, and a horrible thing has happened on board my vessel. Murder, Captain. Brutal murder.
This legate has been picking on him ever since we sailed. I don't say he's much of a seaman. Like to dog it a bit, maybe. But he didn't deserve nothing like that. Black in the face he were when we pried him loose. Weren't he, Monroe?
Aye, black he was. And blacker still with red marks of fingers on his throat when we buried him.
Truth. I've been at sea now, man and boy, for 37 years, and I've never heard of such a thing happening in an English ship. And that it should be my ship, and my wife on board, too.
But don't you think that the heavy sea that swamped you could have killed the man?
The sea? Lord have mercy, no man killed by the sea ever looked like that. A black face and...
I see. But still, the setting of that foresail must have saved you.
Oh, it did. When the hand of God was in it. Without faith in him, I'd never found it in myself to give the order. It was our last chance, Captain. Every other sail we'd tried to set blew out of the bolt ropes in ribbons.
You seem very eager to get Leggett. After all, he was one of your own people.
'Tis a duty I do owe to the law. And a duty I do owe to the crew. And a duty I do owe to the chapel of Methrin, in which I'm a deacon. Besides, the man was not of my choosing. He was sort of forced on me. His family had influence with the owners. Oh, he looked smart and gentlemanly. Something like yourself, Captain, a Conway boy. But I never cared for him. He wasn't the sort to be mate of the Sephora.
No doubt.
Well, I suppose I'll have to report him as suicide.
I beg your pardon?
A suicide. That's what I'll have to report Leggett when we get in.
Unless you happen to recover him, and before tomorrow. Recover him alive, that is.
Well, it's a matter to be set down in the log for the Court of Admiralty. You see, Captain, the land, the mainland, I mean, is a good 7 miles from my anchorage.
Yes, about that, I would say.
But I do reckon it's no more than a 2-mile pull from the island to your ship.
Quite enough. Must have been in this ghastly heat. Oh, but of course you haven't seen my ship.
It's a nice little saloon, isn't it?
Aye. And she's very well fitted out. Here, for instance, is my bathroom.
I was,
Now we'll have a look at the cabin. It's an unusual one, you'll find. As you see, it's L-shaped, with good space for gear.
Aye, very convenient.
And now there are the mate's cabins, the steward's pantry, the storeroom, and the sail locker abaft here before I show you the forward fittings.
Mr. Robinson.
Sephora's away. All right, men. Look lively there.
It's been a pleasure to have you, sir. And I know you'll forgive a young sailor for dragging you all over his first ship.
Bear a hand there, men.
I say, are you... You don't think that...
Don't mention it. Delighted.
The ship's crew told our chaps an extraordinary story, sir. I suppose you had it from the captain.
Yes, I had it from him.
The queer part is, sir, the Sephora fellas had some notion that the man might be hidden aboard of us.
Preposterous.
I suppose the fella drowned himself. Don't you, sir?
I don't suppose anything.
You have no doubt in the matter then, sir, huh?
None whatsoever. Did you hear everything?
Yes, everything. That man told you he gave the order. I tell you he did not. I found him on the break of the poop after the main topsail blew out. Do you know what he was doing? He was praying at the top of his voice. To hear one skipper go on like that in such weather drove me desperate. I left him and took things into my own hands. I was precious little better than he was at the moment. Only I was an officer of that old coal wagon and But what's the use of telling you know?
Yes, I know. The strung-up force in you gave 24 men a chance for their lives, and then recoiled on one mutinous idler. I understand.
Yes, come in.
I believe there's enough wind to get on the way, sir.
Good. Have all hands up. Weigh anchor. I'll be up on deck in a minute.
Aye, aye, sir.
You know what I'm thinking about?
Yes.
The feeling of your own ship moving under you for the first time.
Anchor away!
Sailboat to sea.
Aye, aye, sir.
Chips and topsails, Mr. Brown. Lee braces. Now the lead.
Come on, get on to the deck. Go on, get on to the deck. Take it.
I'll take her, Killen.
Aye, sir.
Light as a feather.
Nothing. All halyards, clew down. Take her now.
Aye, sir.
As she goes. South 20 west.
South 20 west, sir.
8 bells, sir.
Make it so.
Steward. What the devil's the matter with you?
Big pardon, sir, but I could have taken my gospel oath. I'd heard you in your cabin the second before you spoke.
Nonsense, man. You were daydreaming. I'll have my lunch now.
Right, sir.
You'll have to be quieter. The steward heard you moving about just now.
I'll try.
There's some preserved food in that chest. See that the empty tins are out of sight, and whatever you do, keep your ears open for Smithers. He's the sword that hangs over our heads.
Gentlemen, there's a good feeling to be homeward bound at last.
That it is, sir.
Steward! Where are you going with that coat?
Your cabin, sir. Found a moth in it this morning, I did. Had it on deck for a bit of sun.
Very well, get on with it. Then bring my lunch.
You all right, sir?
Oh, yes.
A glass of water, maybe.
Thank you. Where did you hang my coat?
In the bathroom, sir. It was a bit dampish.
Sir, the poor topsail stay is carried away. We'd better be getting topside.
I won't come on deck for a while. I think I'll turn in. And unless the wind shifts, I don't want to be disturbed. I don't feel very well.
Now, you did look middle and bad a few minutes ago, sir.
Did he see you? No. Why not, man? Are you a ghost?
I hid behind the bathroom door. He only opened it far enough to put his arm in and hang up the coat.
I hadn't thought of that.
All the same, it was a near thing. Too near. They think I'm dead. And I am. It would never do for me to come to life again.
You talk like a ghost.
I am a ghost. Whatever happens, I cannot go back to being myself again. That's dead. But my own corpse would have been chained to me for as long as I lived if I hadn't found you at the ship's rail.
Why?
Because you seemed sent on purpose to judge me. You understand perfectly. Now I can leave my corpse behind me forever. Give it a decent burial when I go. As soon as we get among the islands off the Cambodian shore, you must maroon me.
Maroon you? We aren't living in a boy's adventure tale.
We aren't indeed. There's nothing of a boy's adventure story in this.
It's impossible. You wouldn't have a chance in 1,000.
It's all the chance I want. You don't suppose I'm going back to explain what I did to an old fellow in a wig and 12 respectable tradesmen in a jury box? How can they know whether I'm guilty or not? Or of what I'm guilty either? That's my affair. What does the Bible say? Driven off the face of the earth. Very well, then. As I came at night, so shall I go. And thanks to you, not bound to a corpse, not with the brand of Cain on my forehead.
I see. I understand. And it must be tonight.
The ship's on an offshore course.
I'll have to change it.
5 bells, sir.
Make it so.
Alter course, Mr. Brown. Bring her 2 points closer to the wind. We're not doing well out here in the Gulf. I'm going inshore to catch the land breeze tonight.
Bless me soul, sir. Do you mean the dark? Among all these islands and reefs and shoals?
If we want the land breeze, we'll have to go inshore to get it, won't we? Bring her close, Mr. Brown.
Aye, aye, sir. All hands! Braces and sheets!
Close haul it is, sir.
Mainsail haul! Walk away with it there!
East-southeast is your course, Mr. Brown.
Aye, aye, sir. Fast heaving!
This is Coal Ring Island. A few fishermen live on it. On the coast opposite, there's a mouth of a biggish river with some town, no doubt, not far up. That's your only chance, that I can see.
There's no need for that. I can swim 2 miles easily.
Not here. You'll be swept away. Take a look at this current. You've got to get through it into slack water about so far.
That's 24 feet, and we're drawing 18. Don't risk the ship, whatever you do.
We'll be taking soundings. When the leadsman calls 4 fathoms, I'll put her about. As we come around, and the ship's way is deadened, all hands will be aft at the braces. You'll have a clear road then to slip overside. Better use a rope's end to lower yourself so as to avoid making a splash.
Right.
The important thing is that you're ready to go the moment we come about.
I'll be ready as soon as the 4-fathom mark is called. But how do I get on deck, though, without being seen?
Leave that to me. I'll find a way for you. Shortly before midnight.
Clear and burning bright, sir.
I don't like this. We're drawn in pretty fast.
I am making leeway, sir.
The captain's on deck soon. I'm going to send for him.
It's getting near time to be moving. I'll need a little money to buy fruit and vegetables for the crew from the native boats in Sunder Straits. Take this anyhow. I'll have enough.
No, I don't want them.
Come on, take it. No one can tell what you may need.
Yes? Mr. Robinson's respects, sir. We're drawing in pretty fast.
I'll be up in a minute or two. Tell him to hold his course and put a leadsman in the chains.
Aye, aye, sir.
You wait here. I'm going to clear a way for you to the sails locker. There's an open hatch in it that gives onto the quarterdeck. When we come about, you'll be able to slip through it to the side.
Right.
I won't be there to see you go. I hope I've understood everything you wish me to.
You have from first to last.
Steward?
Yes,
Go
sir.
forward to the galley and get me some hot water.
Aye, aye, sir.
To be insured of this darkness. I'm going to come about.
Oh, check, Mr. Roberts. I'll take over. Keep a good full, Thursby.
Good pull, sir.
What's the matter?
Get on deck before that madman runs us aground.
Bless me ashore, what you know.
And a quarter
6. Steer small there.
I can hardly see the sails to keep them full, sir. Should we better come about?
No, not yet. Mr. Robinson, turn all hands up to stand by.
All hands!
Here we are, sir. All on deck.
A quarter, then 5. Showing, sir!
Never clear. You're too close to turn about. Listen, she'll dip the shore aboard you now.
Quiet, Mr. Brown. I'm navigating this.
You're insane, man. Quiet.
Quiet, 1, 4.
Go for it. Default to the head sheets.
Back your topsails! Stand on, come on! Put your back, fellow! Finally!
Merciful heaven, what's taking her turn? We're lost!
She's in an eddy. Helm hard down.
Helm hard down, sir! Back your mainyards!
We're making sternway. Steady so until she fills. Bring it to, Saresby.
Bring it to, sir.
With the helm, hard over.
With the helm, hard over, sir.
Thank heaven we're round. I don't hold with his foolhardiness, Mr. Robertson. But now we know what kind of a seaman he is.
Steady as she goes.
And so I was alone with my ship at last. Nothing, no one in the world should stand now between us, throwing a shadow on the way of silent knowledge and mute affection, the perfect communion of a seaman with his first command.
East is east and west is west, in the words of the ballad, and the setting of our second story is indeed the West, the wild west of the Texas plains, just dying out at the turn of the century.
Marshal. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do.
Don't you do nothing I wouldn't do is more like it. Lock yourself in right after meal times.
You can trust me, Marshal.
I don't need to. I done told Laura Lee to keep an eye on you. So long. Be back in a couple days.
Give my howdy to the gals in San Antone.
You can do that when you get out. I ain't no hand for it.
I don't know, Marshal. Tell me, still waters run deep.
Potter. Evening, Deacon.
Leaving town so soon again?
I spent most 2 months.
Yes, indeed. And what's going to happen to your prisoner, if I may ask?
Laura Lee's going to take care of him.
Mrs. Bates, she'll bring him his meals?
Now, he'll let him sup out for him.
You think that looks right?
Evening, Deacon.
Evening.
I'm afraid I ain't worried how it looks, Deacon. It's the easiest way. You know as well as I do, he ain't going to make no trouble.
Mr. Potter, I'm afraid you don't care how anything looks.
Now, Deacon, you're not going to start that church business again,
I'm sorry,
are you?
Marshal, but every respectable person in Yellow Sky agrees with me. If only for appearance's sake, you ought to come to church.
Looky here, Deacon, we never did get nowheres with that argument. We never will. I ain't got nothing against church going. I just don't hold with it for myself, that's all.
And then all these mysterious trips to San Antonio.
Now, looky here, Deacon. If you mean light women and such, you know I ain't a man for fooling around with them.
You misconstrue me, Marshal. Indeed you do. But Caesar's wife, you know.
How's that?
She must be above suspicion.
Well, who's suspicious? You?
Of course not. Perish the thought. Only you never say why you're going to San Antonio.
Just business. Good night, Deacon.
Good night, Mr. Potter.
Howdy, Marshal.
Jasper, Ed.
Leaving town again?
That's right.
San Antonio?
Laura Lee, you tell Frank no drinks and no fooling around. Just come right straight here and eat and get right back. Got the deacon worried him going out at all.
Ah, Smead. I tell you, Jack, when you waited in here and cleaned this town up, it wasn't just a favor you done us. Everything's getting too blame respectable.
That was my job.
I don't hold it against you. But if things get too tame, you're liable to up and quit town for good.
I aim to be buried here. Besides, long as old Scratchy busts loose now and then, things won't never get too tame.
Here's to him. It don't work, Jack, holding him to nothing. I figure maybe beer on allowance.
You don't hear me hollering, do you? It's worth trying. Only thing bothers me is if I'm out of town.
He ain't due for another tear yet.
And I ain't sure we can count on him hitting them regular no more. He's getting rouncier all the time.
What you doing in San Antonio, Jack?
Just a business trip. And how'd do, Scratchy?
What's the matter, Scratchy? Cat got your tongue? It's the last one tonight. Want to wait for it?
Just draw me my beer.
Ain't still sore, are you, Scratchy?
You knowed it was all in fun. When'd you go and plug me for?
It ain't fun, Scratchy. Not scaring the daylights out of folks that ain't used to gunplay.
You're a fine one to talk about gunplay. You mean sneaking skunk.
Sneaking? Why, it was fair and above board like it always is.
He just beat you to the draw and you know it.
Well, it don't make my leg no happier.
Mending all right, Scratchy?
I get around.
You just mind where you get to, that's all I ask.
Next time I'll make you dance.
But there better not be no next time. Because next time, instead of the meat of the leg, I might have to pop you in the kneecap.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, I wouldn't want to. But I might have to, Scratchy, just to learn you. You don't know it, but you're getting dangersome when you drink lately.
Me, dangersome? A good man with a gun is a safe man with a gun, and I'm the best there is.
When you're in your liquor, yeah. But you don't drink for fun no more, Scratchy. You kind of go out of your head.
That's right, Scratchy. One of these days you're going to shoot to kill and swing for it. Then all of us will be sorry.
I don't need to kill nobody more. I got my notches and to spare.
Well, that was all right. Getting the kind of varmints used to be around here in the old days. You come in right handy. Sort of a scavenger, like a turkey buzzard. But you can't go shooting up law-abiding citizens and getting away with it.
Who wants to shoot a law-abiding citizen?
Well...
You went out of town again?
Bye, Laura Lee. See you day after tomorrow.
Bye, Jack.
You watch your drinking while I'm gone.
I'll save it all up for you, Jack. Ain't nobody else worth the hangover.
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean
I've got
to
a frog
shush
in my
you.
throat.
Just made me jump, Saul.
You go ahead and shush me anytime you're on mind.
You call me that anytime you're in mind, you. Because I like to hear you say it. Only not so loud.
Miss Potter.
Do you think they can tell we just got married?
Well, I don't see how they would. We ain't been treating them to no lovey-dovey stuff, none of that monkey business. Excuse me.
It's all right.
Oh, it ain't neither. It ain't fitting I should talk to you like that.
Yes, it is, Jack. I reckon it just kind of crept up on me from behind.
Yeah, this here train sure does gobble up the miles, don't it?
My, yes, it just goes like the wind.
It's 1,000 miles from one end of Texas to the other. And yet, she don't only stop but 4 times.
My land.
Only stops for water at Yellow Sky.
Oh.
Look, I hope you ain't gonna mind. I mean, it's a good town. But it might seem awful puny alongside of San Antone.
Oh, no, I never did like a big town. I like it where everybody knows everybody else.
Well, you're gonna like it there, then.
Just can't get over it. It's all so handsome and rich looking.
Yes. They do it in style, sure enough, don't they?
It just looks like a palace or something. Even the ceiling.
You sure do notice things. I never even seen it. You ever rode in a Pullman car before?
No.
Me neither. One of these days, we're going to go on a trip overnight. I mean, well, I always had a hankering to see what them Pullman berths is like.
This is wonderful enough.
Shucks, this ain't nothing. In a little while, we're going to go forward to the diner and get a big layout. You ever eaten a diner?
No. I always took me along some lunch.
Finest meal in the world. Charge $1.
$1? Oh, that's too much. For us. Ain't it, Jack?
No. Well, not this trip, anyhow. We're going to do the whole thing.
Thank you, young fella. She sure is pretty. Gotcha, you dog.
Sowing in the morning, sowing seeds of kindness, sowing in the noontide, and doing Waiting for the harvest and the time of reaping. Come here, sweetheart. We shall come rejoicing, bringing in the sheaves.
Let's call for dinner. Let's call for dinner. Let's call for dinner. Let's call.
Customers.
There you are, sir. And how are you all today?
Gone up in your prices, ain't you?
Things are costing more all over these days. As a matter of fact, we can accommodate folks of more moderate means. There's a nice gumbo, good sandwiches.
We'll have the $1.25 dinner.
Yes, indeed, sir. The chicken or the ham? The ham is mighty delicious today, sir.
Chicken.
Yes, sir.
Not even a small beer?
Not even that. It's high time you got back and locked yourself in jail. Jack Potter's treating you white. It's up to you to treat him the same way. Now get along with you.
Treat me a whole lot whiter if he'd get back when he said he would.
He ain't but a day late.
A day is a long time when you spend it in jail.
Oh, well, read them magazines he give you.
Done read them 4 or 5 times. Get part of it. All that bang, bang stuff. Howdy, stranger.
Howdy.
Did I hear correctly, ma'am? Is he a jailbird?
If you want to put it that way.
Well.
What do you have, mister?
Oh, a beer, please. With a big head on it.
Big head.
Nice little town.
It'll pass.
Oh, I've had a profitable morning's work.
That'll be a nickel, mister.
Matter of fact, I'm a drummer.
I can see that.
That's right. I travel in stockings. Exquisite stockings. Paris to your doorstep. That's our slogan. Now, if you could spare a moment of your time, I promise you, a lady of your taste and refinement, you just could not resist.
Now, look at here, mister. I ain't even gonna look at them fool stockings, let alone resist them. What's yours, Pedro?
Cerveza.
That hurt, ma'am.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Seen Scratchy around, Laura Lee?
Not since the other night.
Getting so you can't count on him for nothing. He was supposed to clear out my cesspool yesterday. He never showed up.
Don't know as I blame him, Jasper. That's a job you do for yourself. Ain't nobody ought to have to do that for hire.
Well, sometimes you gotta take what you can get. All I hope is he ain't a-tying one on.
Well, if I had to do a job like that for you, I might tie on a few myself.
Hey, Laura Lee.
Yeah?
Reckon what Jack Potter's up to in San Antone?
Reckon what business 'tis of yourn?
Just figured he might have told you.
Jack Potter ain't tied to my apron strings or nobody's.
Don't worry, I can get that off in a jiffy.
Ain't likely I'll wear it much anyhow.
Well, you'll wear it on Sundays, church and all.
I've never been much of a hand for church.
You don't ever go?
No.
I don't know what I'd do for lonesomeness without a church to go to.
Look what I done brung you both. An extra pot of nice fresh coffee.
Want some more?
No, thanks. Pass the sugar, please.
Certainly.
Thank you. Sugar?
You sure you won't have some more coffee?
All right. Thanks. Thank you.
Certainly. Oh, my napkin.
Oh,
Sorry. Oh,
excuse me.
sorry.
Excuse me.
What's the matter?
Just habit, I reckon. First time in years I ain't toting a gun. Ooh.
Steady. Now I'm gonna get my beautiful shirt. My beautiful shirt in the yellow sky. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. Beautiful shirt. Ah, my beautiful necktie. There you go. Yeah, I won't believe a word. I'll spoil my beautiful front of my shirt, so I won't wear it. Yeah, well, I can't get it back up there, so I'll just leave it on the floor.
Mine's slow.
No, I trust yours. She's a 17 jeweler.
Gracious. Jack.
Hmm?
Something's eating at you.
Me? Oh, nothing much. Wished I'd sent a telegram.
I thought you did there at the depot.
I tore it up.
Was it about us getting married this morning?
I ought to told him back in Yellow Sky. You see, they're so used to me being a bachelor and all, and they ain't gonna take it no way good, me not telling them. And all of a sudden, I come home married. I reckon I'm just plain bashful.
I reckon I feel the same.
Oh, where am I? Must be in there somewhere. Oh, there I am. Huh? Oh, I know what I need. I need my hat. Not dress without my hat. Yes. Oh, no, damn you. Oh, my hat. Yes. Ah, there's my beauty. Oh, most beautiful hat. Oh, ain't you lovely, yeah. My beautiful. Oh, there I am. Oh, now that's some light, yeah. All right, Jack Potter. Your time has come.
Speaks louder than words, doesn't it? You tell her, gentlemen, in all your experience, did you ever meet a lady who would not swoon just to look at it? Sheer as twilight air. And just look at that clocking. Nothing like it ever contrived before by the most inspired continental designers to give shape to the ankle, molding to the calf, and they run all the way up. Upper length. How about it, madam?
All right, son, I'm still resistant. Fork over that dollar.
Oh, but madam, you haven't given me a...
Now, look here, mister. My old man caught me in a pair of them things, he'd have broke my jaw. You're in the wrong territory. This is a man's country. This is hard country.
Scratchy Wilson's drunk and he's turned loose with both hands.
Say, what is this? Is there going to be a gunfight?
Don't know if there'll be a fight or not, but there'll be some shooting. Some good shooting.
Oh, there's a fight just waiting out there in the street, if anyone wants it.
What did you say his name was?
Scratchy Wilson.
What are you going to do? Does he do this often? Can he break down that door?
No, he's give that up. But when he comes, you better lay on the floor, stranger, because he's dead sure to shoot at that door, and there's no telling what a stray bullet might do.
Will he kill anybody?
He's out to shoot, and he's out for trouble. Don't see no good experimenting with him.
Well, what do you do in a case like this? What do you do?
Jack Potter, they always...
Can't get back yet.
Lordy.
Who's he? What's he got to do with it?
He's Marshal.
Comes to shooting, he's the only one in town can go up against him.
That must be him coming now, huh?
Here he comes.
You going to shoot him?
Not if I can help it. Ain't a good enough shot. Might kill him.
Well, be pure self-defense if you did, wouldn't it? Well, wouldn't it? And good riddance, too, I'd say.
Mister, Scratchy Wilson's an old friend. Ain't nobody'd harm a hair of his head if there's any way out, let alone kill him. Trouble is, he's a wonder with a gun. Just a wonder. And a terror when he's drunk. So when he goes on the war trail, we hunt our holes naturally.
What's he doing in a town like this? Why did they allow him?
He's the last of the old gang that used to hang out along the river here. Come on, get behind the bar. I kind of fixed it up.
Yes, ma'am.
at you, you yellow bellies. Yahoo! Jack Potter! Jack Potter! You heard me, Jack Potter. Come on out and face the music, for the time to dance. Now, there ain't no ways like you, Potter, selling in your house. You ain't no possum. Now, I played fair and square with you. I saved it all up for you, just like I told you. Now you play square with me.
Hey, Scratchy.
What's that? Who is it?
It's me, Frank.
Why didn't you say so? Where you at?
Up here in the jail, where Jimmy at.
Well, show yourself. What are you scared of?
You.
Me? Shucks. The old man need be scared of me is Jack Potter, the yellow hound.
Jack ain't here, Scratchy.
What do you mean he ain't here?
He ain't got back yet, that's what I mean.
Ain't back? Don't give me none of that. He come back yesterday just like he promised he would.
No, he didn't.
You lie to me, Frank Gutcher, and I'll give you what for.
Scratchy, don't do that. It's dangerous.
No, it ain't. Not if you keep your head down low enough.
It's true. You can't tell why them bullets will rebound.
Don't you dare tell me how to shoot. You poor wall-eyed wood pony. Is Jack Potter back or ain't he?
No, he ain't, and that's the honest truth.
Don't you sass me. Is he back yet?
Quit it, Scratchy. You done busted my ant chimbley.
Is he back or ain't he?
All right, have it your own way. He's back if you say so.
Well, why don't you come right out and tell me straight off? Why don't he come out then?
Reckon he would if he was inside.
Oh, he ain't inside, eh?
Not that I know of.
Well, there's just one other place where he could be. You wait right there.
I ain't going nowhere.
Dead burn it. I never noted yet that I didn't run out just at the wrong time. Oh, you, Jasper Morgan. Yeah, and that sniveling woman of yours, too. Too dainty to do like ordinary folk. Too high and mighty. Get yourself a lot of fancy plumbing. Ain't man enough to clean out your own cesspool. No, let Scratchy do it. Ain't nothing so low that Scratchy won't do it for the price of a pint. Deacon! Deacon! Deacon Smead! You home, Deacon? Can I pay you a little call? Oh, I'm sorry I can't drop in just now. I'm a mite too thirsty. But I'll be back, Deacon. Oh, I'll be back. Here's my calling card. Oh, quit it now. Don't holler before you're hurt. Come on out and fight, if you dash. Only you don't dash. No. You know who's boss in this town. Marcellus T. Wilson, that's who. Ain't fitting to wipe your boots on. No siree. Lowest of the low. But he's boss just the same. 'Cause this here is a boss. And this here is a boss. And this here's the fella can boss them both as better than any man left in this wore-out, womanizing country. Ain't scarce a man of you dashed even catch a gun. Leave alone face a man with one. I could wipe every last one of you off on the face of the earth, hiding behind your women's skirts. Every last respectable one of you. Come on out and fight. Come on. Come on, Dad bless you.
Laurie! 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 You can't fool me. I know you're in there. Hey! Open up. I want a drink. All I want is a little drink. Well, shake my britches. Scratchy, you're getting old in your old age.
Well, I best get down our truck.
Don't you bother, mister. I got everything ready and waiting.
Home at last. Say, listen, you ain't gonna like me for this, and I don't blame you. But I just can't face him if we can help it. Not right off. What I want to sort of sneak in if we can get by with it and make home without nobody seeing us. And then study what to do about him. I figure we got a chance if we kind of slide along the hind side of Main Street. We got cover up to about 60 feet from my door. Would you do it?
Oh, gee. If only they don't catch us.
And you don't hate me for it?
Hate you?
Girl, hurry. Oh. Much obliged.
Much obliged to you, sir.
I don't see nobody.
It's just the hot time of day. We better not risk it. All right. Good girl. Come on. Next corner, dear, and I can show you our home.
Oh, Jack.
Something the matter?
The way you said that.
Said what?
Our home.
Oh, come on then, girl. Let's get there. Right the next second, you can see it.
Tried to sneak up on me. Tried to sneak up on me. Don't you do it, Jack Potter. Don't you move a finger toward no gun just yet. Don't you bet an eyelash. Time has come for me to settle with you, and I aim to do it in my own way. And just loaf along without no interfering. So lest you want a gun bent on your third eye right now, you mind what I tell you.
I ain't got no gun, Scratchy. Honest, I ain't. You're gonna have to do all the shooting yourself.
Don't tell me you ain't got no gun on you, you whelp. Don't tell me no lie like that. Ain't a man in Texas ever seen you without no gun. Don't take me for no kid.
I ain't taking you for no kid. I'm taking you for a fool. I tell you, I ain't got a gun and I ain't. If you're gonna shoot me up, you better do it now. You'll never get a chance like this again.
If you ain't got a gun, why ain't you got a gun? You been to Sunday school?
You know where I've been. I've been to San Antone. And I ain't got a gun because I just got married. And if I thought there was gonna be any galoots like you prowling around when I brought my wife home, I'd have had a gun, and don't you forget it.
Married?
Yes, married. I'm married.
Married? You mean you? No. What's that you got there? Is that the lady?
Yes, that's the lady.
Well, I suppose it's all off now.
It's all off if you say so, Scratchy. You know I didn't make the trouble.
Well, I allow it's all off. Goodbye, Jane.
Bye, Scratchy.